Sophie Nkuga akuboleleka about the relationship with Johnny K, because these are the people that I believe bakambwe mu radio presentation. Johnny K muyinza okuba mu kunyala kwaba kulimu nayo mu oba mu club oba anywhere ambako busa microphone ate aganika ko sauti ya Simba Johnny K umse okitegeera. The guy has a voice. Yes. Tell me about your relationship with Johnny K.
Now, John K is a brother. Is a brother. Let me tell you, John K is one of the people that gave me a slap of wisdom. One day during our radio time, I was depressed. I was going through a certain challenge. And then John K asked me that, Sophie, and I will never forget John K. I know he's going to see this, but I will never forget that it's what has made me who I am today. God speaks through people. John K asked me, well, Sophie, if you're not the wife of Obedo, who are you? Yes. Who are you? You need to have an identity. That is not just your husband, but your personal identity. That question lingered. From that day, I said, building an empire that is Sophie. You see, John K had a bit of arrogancy. He's an arrogant man and proud. And, he will speak anything the way it is. At first, it was a very hard thing for me to deal with. But when I learned him, I learned that in that arrogance is the truth. And he's a brain. I am telling you, John K is a brain. Only that he allows the pride to ride the brain. But he's a brain and one of the package of wisdom for Bugisu. So when this man asked me this question that besides being Obedo's wife, who are you? And then I looked at radio. Radio was not giving me what I wanted. I needed to grow bigger. So from that time, I started Deco. I do events, and my events house is called Twan Events. And so I started doing Deco. I did Deco. Deco went into catering service. But then as I walked to a certain place, I found myself with a desire to serve God. A desire to serve God, a desire to know God. And that's when I got born again. And after getting born again, while I had the desire, also God was calling me. So God led me to a certain house of ministry. It's called Abba Father, where I got it's in Mpalembaya. Have you ever been to Mpalembaya? There's a beautiful church with flowers and a big cross. It's fenced at the center. So I had a desire for God, and I first put everything on hold. And I was seeking God. When you're seeking God, it's not just a minute with God. It is sitting at his feet and saying, I want to hear from you. And the Lord really, I heard from God. And that's when I became a pastor. And that is how we came to build that church. Of course, we have our spiritual mentor. She's called Mama Vivian. She's a prophetess. So that is how I got myself. So now answering what John K asked me, that besides being Obedo, Sophie, Obedo's wife, who are you? I want to tell you now I'm a pastor. I'm a businesswoman. I am a farmer. I am a mother. And I'm a servant of God in another capacity. Yes. And now I bring in Mrs. Obedo. Can you imagine? Because of somebody who opened my eyes. Yes. And that's none other than John K. So yes, we don't meet often, but I want to tell you that when we need to give each other advice, I think I last communicated to him a week back. On his status, he had displayed a greenhouse, a certain greenhouse, and it looked really beautiful. So I told him, man, can I get the connections of this greenhouse? Because one of the things that I am interested in venturing in, Toro gets very hot. I want to go into greenhouse farming. And then he directed me to where I could actually get assistance. Yes.
That is Sophie. Yalikoli abakoli kanganike room. Omanya abagisu Sophie. I'm sorry to tell you this. Abagisu bampisa bwe whenever I speak Luganda. So they love it when they love it when I do content in Luma Saba.
Olugisu nali ndwagala nnyo oduyiga. But the challenge was
atogeze n'ogera Oluganda edobozi ne ndijukira ile wayogeranga ku radio. The
challenge was sho kumachanji kola n'omugisu w'ebishiyende. Kati atolwe eggulo nyingira n'omugisu wa ragachifu wawa. Budadiri. Katolaba the whole challenge. Wengenda mukatale n'ensinkana omuduuda. Mbandi awo, so the whole thing got so confusing, Nenjitanze chintu kasa chin confusing anchireka.
Sophie, katika tuogere ku don't you think you lacked patience? Kubanze ndowooza senga Arafat ndowooza singa wasigala mu media you would be very far. Ate nekyoliko saawa eno wandibadde olina opportunity ekitambuza bulungi singa wasigala mu media. Gwolooza singa wasigala mu media singa toli wala nti kati buli muntu oba buli omu yeetaaga okwogerako ne Sophy oba Sophy okumuadvisingako abaana abasoma bonna toba nti baali badde beetaaga advice from Sophy singa wasigala mu media saawa eno.
One thing about me, Arafat, when I jambale, courtesy of marriage, it is what I put first. My marriage. At one time when I was on radio step, I got an offer of a certain radio from a certain radio in Kampala, and they really needed me and they were giving me a good salary. But you know, I was earning from radio and earning from my husband, so I'm balancing, and I was having enough time for my children. I am somebody who has refused the idea of a woman leaving her children with maids. I have refused that. It has refused to dawn on me. And so I could not sacrifice anything for this. And again, when I left radio, again, I got another approach from another radio in Western Uganda. I still refused. I got another approach to manage a radio in Gulu. I refused. I got those offers. I would have really been somewhere, but I don't know. I am not God to know the future. But family is my first thing. It's not about money. We've made money. People have worked in organization. They leave their homes for a week or two, and then you come back and find the housemaid on your marital bed, or you find your children with scars. And then I am somebody who trains have you ever met my children? Oh my God, they're very humble and very sweet people to deal with. But it all comes from the time I give them. I am a disciplinarian. And I only don't, my house is not only of the biological children that I have. God has given us children to take care of. My husband loves children, and so we are children. We are covered with children, and I needed to be there as a mother. So for me, my whole focus was not on the media. It was in my house and earning money from the media. And for as long as the money is still coming, and then there is also somebody that God put to take care of the family. That's Mr. Bedo. I'm not going to be in a rush.